Hello everyone, welcome to the Financial Information channel. In this video, I'm going to give you the review on what happened last week and what is going to happen next week. And before we begin, remember I do videos about the stock market, how to invest in the stock market, personal finance, and how to make money online. Now let's begin with the video. I'm the first company that reported earnings, and I said that it was gonna be the EPS and revenue was gonna be Darden's restaurants. Darden restaurant beat the EPS by 3 cents and the revenue by 60 millions, and the year-to-year growth is 7.8%. And Darden restaurants, what they have is, for example, those restaurants like Oliver Gardens, the Yard House, and similar restaurants. The second company that reported earnings was General Mills, and I mentioned this company had a history of reported bad earnings. However, they beat the EPS and revenue. They beat the EPS by 2 cents and the revenue by 60 millions, and the year-to-year growth is negative 3.1%. It beat the EPS and revenue, however, the growth is negative, and that is always a bad sign for a company. And the next company is a company that is not liked by a lot of people, and that is Monsato. And Monsato beat the EPS and revenue. Monsato beat the EPS by 17 cents and the revenue by 60 millions, and the growth year to year is only 1%. Now this is one of the companies that I predicted it was going to beat the EPS and revenue, and it beat both, but the year to year growth is really small. It's only 1%, and I don't have an opinion on this company because I haven't done a lot of research on this company. And the next company is Paycheck, and they beat the EPS and revenue. And Paycheck beat the EPS by 1 cent and the revenue by 0.83 millions, and the year to year growth is 5.9%. So this was one of the companies that I mentioned that it was supposed to do really well, and it's doing, I think it's coming back, that it's gonna do better in the second half of the year because the employment rate is a little bit high at this moment. And when employment rate is high, they're supposed to be using this system. So I think this stock might be heading a little bit higher from now on. Now the next company is my number one investment company in my account, and that's Constellation Brands. And I predicted that it was going to be the EPS and revenue. However, it only beat the EPS. Constellation Brands beat the EPS by 36 cents. However, it missed the revenue by 10 millions. And the year-to-year growth is 3.7%. Now, this company is very solid. And I think on Thursday when they reported earnings, I saw that it was up to 10% before the market opens. And after the day was over, the stock actually closed around 4 to 5%. Now, when I was reading the earnings transcripts, it was saying that they actually have 3 out of the 5 beers during the holidays. Especially during the Cinco de Mayo, they have 3 out of the 5 stop selling beers. Now, one of the good things is that they have 7% organic net sales during the quarter. And as usual, this company had a great cash flow during the quarter as well. Now keep in mind that the company usually have the best sales during the holidays, so that is usually at the end of the year. And the next company is Micron Technologies, and I predicted that it was going to have good EPS and good revenue. However, the most important thing was the guidance, and Micron Technology beat the EPS by 11 cents and the revenue by 160 millions, and the year-to-year growth is 92.1%. So this is a growth company, but let's talk about the guidance because that's very important. Now for the guidance, Micron expects to have at the end of the fourth quarter to have anywhere between 5.7 billions to 6.1 billions of revenue, and the gross margin between 47 and 51%, and EPS between 1.73 and 1.87. So you can see Micron had good guidance, excellent revenue along with EPS. However, the stock actually dropped around 5%, so it didn't make sense. However, if you look around, you will find the answer. And the reason is most of the semiconductor stocks dropped quite a huge amount on Thursday. And the reason is most investors feel that especially this sector, is a little bit overvalued. So in that case, investors take some of the profits in order to avoid losing a lot of money. So overall, I think the company is gonna go back up, and I'm thinking of getting some shares to trade because at this price under $30, it really represents a good value in my opinion. Most analysts have the price around between $35 to $40. I have the price target around 37 before the end of the year. And remember, this company was mentioned in the top 5 stocks, and it would be like a short-term investment or trade for me. And the last company is Nike, and I predicted that it was gonna go down in EPS and revenue. However, it had an excellent, I would say, earnings. It beat the EPS and revenue. It beat the EPS by 10 cents and the revenue by 40 millions. And the year-to-year growth is 5.3%. Now, even though it beat the EPS, I think the growth of this company is a little bit low at this moment, and I think it's going to continue moving slower. In my opinion, there's a lot of things that you need to take a look into the company. And in the following report, you will see that the company actually had a really small gross profit due to weak margins. In addition, they had 67 millions in tax savings despite higher income before taxes. And you have to keep in mind that Nike actually made most of the money on their warehouse shoe sales. Now that they are partnering with Amazon, those margins are gonna get smaller. Now, in any case, this company is not for me. I actually love the Nike brand. However, to invest into the company, it needs to have more growth. Wallgreens beat the EPS by 3 cents and the revenue by 370 millions, and it is 2.1% year to year. And as you know, the FTC blocked the deal that they had with Rite Aid, and that is actually one of the bad news for the company. I would prefer to invest into a different company in the pharmaceutical side, for example like Pfizer or Johnson & Johnson, one of those companies. So for the companies that are going to report next week, we only have 3 since the week is really short. And the first one is International Speedway Corporation, and I think this company is going to report bad EPS and earnings. And like the name mentions, it is mostly related to Speedway events, usually sports events. And the next company is Pricesmart, and I think they're going to report good EPS and good revenue. And they are mostly like a store, like a retail store, but it's a little bit different since they do a lot of food. So I think they're going to be fine. And the next company is Jump Holdings, and I think this company is going to report good EPS and good revenue. And they're another fast food company, and they have a lot of fast food restaurants like KFC, Pizza Hut, and similar restaurants. And one of the things that I didn't take into account is the company has gone up around 50% in 2017. So that is actually a good growth for a fast food company. Well, that is gonna be everything for the video. Those are the only 3 companies that I found interesting for next week. And in about 2 weeks, most of the financials like the banks are gonna be reporting, which is really good news. Well, that is gonna be everything for the video. Please leave in the comment sections below which of the mentioned companies did you like the best during this week. In addition, subscribe to the financial information channel. I want to thank you once again for watching the video. Have an excellent day and take care, my friends.